Well, when you lay down with dogs, you get fleas. St. Patrick's is back in the news again, and this might shock you. Let's jump on in and check out what's happening. What's up, guys? This is Carlton Flowers with the Go Political Channel, and we're back. We are back. I took a nice little break from the mess, the nonsense going down in Dolton, but we've got some recent things popping up in the news that we have to talk about. Yep, we're back at St. Patrick's again. It's been, a month since I posted that video talking about the dubious dirty dealings that were going on for the past few years leading to the opening of this lovely restaurant here. And for those of you who had seen that last video, you'll remember I talked about the owners, and I was wondering, well, where did they come up with all of the money to make this lovely restaurant? And I said, they don't look like the type of people that could raise $3-4 million. And of course, there were some people in the comments that got all butthurt and offended because they thought, well, that's racist. Why can't black people come up with that money? Now, the smart ones who are in the know understood exactly what I meant. What I meant was, when you lay down with dogs, you get fleas. I've smelled a rat in this from the beginning, from the time that our 7-figure man, yeah, you know who he is, sold this place to the current owners. And then when Miss Super Mayor Tiffany Henyard, the Stupor Mayor, was bragging and boasting and talking about how this was such a great thing and how she was bringing these fabulous new businesses to Dolton and uplifting the community and how great of a couple that the Camaras were, only to find out that a year later she tried to block their liquor license and was forced by a judge and held in contempt of court for not issuing the business license. So they went from best buddies with the Stupor Mayor to really irritated and going to court to force her to do what was right. So I kind of thought, that's odd. First of all, there was some funky dealings with taxes, apparently, allegedly not being paid when this property was changing hands several times. And then I kind of wondered, well, if you're all kimbled up with the Stupor Mayor and her croonies, what does that say about you? What does that say? Now, we don't need to go into all of the nonsense, all of the crooked things that the Stupor Mayor has gotten into, but it just makes one wonder, well, if you're in cahoots with a person who is a known shyster, 4 years of just absolute terror, chaos, spending up federal grant money. By the way, I got another video that is going to blow your mind. We're going to look back and talk about some of the things that I had dug up a year ago, and a video that was recently put out by Cafe of Knowledge. We love our Queen Cafe. Woo! That really shocked me because I didn't realize how much in federal funds that the Super Mayor had raided while she was in power. But that's for the next video. You'll have to wait for that. Back to the topic at hand. We're here at St. Patrick's. So once again, as we look at this lovely establishment, isn't this fabulous? Look at these wonderful, lovely pictures. Lots of money spent here. I think it's $4.2 million. That's a lot of money, man. I wondered about the legitimacy of the fundraising based on the fact that they were so tight with two people, Tiffany and boyfriend, who are known to do a lot of shady dealings. So let's kind of jump into the news, and let me tell you, I'm going to jump to Facebook and tell you why this even popped up on my radar. It's because of this post that was put up on none other than the Dolton Politics page. So here we are on the Dolton Politics page. Whoops, here we go. And I come across this post just about an hour or two ago, and I thought it was going to be another glowing review of the lovely St. Patrick's Steakhouse and Rooftop Bar. And lo and behold, this was not a glowing review. It was kind of, wow, very interesting, not in a good way. It's a little bit of a negative statement by Rocio Roman. I don't know how to pronounce that name right, but let me just read some of this. This isn't a shocking, glowing review, rather. This person says, everyone buckle up because everyone know me knows this crook. Everyone heard about Tavern on Lagrange. That's another business in Dolton that has closed. It's not in the Dolton village, actually, but close by. And goes on to say, good, because this guy has no remorse whatsoever. And instead of paying all our wages that he still owe to this day from 2023, he decided to copy the same concept with a new place and name called none other than St. Patrick's Steakhouse. Ooh. And then this person goes on to talk about what was going on. I guess some wages not being paid. It's a pretty big grievance that I think it actually ended up in court. And it's all centered around this guy right here, this chef. So what's going on with this chef? Well, if we jump into the comments, this is pretty interesting. If I have the right one here, there's more comments in here that get into this. It looks like some of the comments that I was just reading have disappeared, but there was one that posted some information about this individual depicted right here. Let me see if I can click on the picture. Maybe it'll come up over here. No, it's not there. So maybe that post, maybe the comments have been taken down, but fortunately I have already dug in to find out what was going on. Yeah, there was many more comments here. They're gone. They are gone. Bum, bum, bum. All right, so let's just move on and see if we can find out some news about what was happening with this tavern, this other business. Tavern on Lagrange's former employees, investors, file suit over alleged unpaid wages and loans. What? Ooh. Well, that's interesting. Let's just kind of scroll down and look at some of this. So former employees of Tavern on Lagrange in the south suburbs are speaking out against the former business owners with multiple lawsuits and wage claims filed in the case. Investors in the business have also joined in the legal actions in the case, seeking repayment from former owners Gregory and Tiffany Perkins. And then this individual says, I'm owed a substantial amount of money. That was manager Antonio Barnes who's making this comment. Barnes is one of several former employees and investors that are at odds with the current owner, with the former owner of the company. Barnes, old NBC Chicago, he filed a wage claim with the Illinois Department of Labor against Tavern on Lagrange and the Perkins, alleging that he was not paid money owed money owed for working after the family bought the business in February of 2020. And then it goes on to say here, he had a lot of friends that invested money. Look at this. Among those investors was Anita Bennett, who told NBC Chicago she invested $150,000. That's a lot of money with Perkins Company, while Alvin Slovic invested $100,000. In a statement to NBC5 News, Bennett alleged that the Perkins wrote her checks that later bounced. Ooh, they gave me 2 bogus checks for payment toward the $150,000 that I invested in loan. They've since avoided me, and I want my money back and them held accountable, she said. Wow, so that's kind of interesting. This is the chef, the guy that you saw right here in this picture. There it is right there. Well, let's dig a little further. One of the comments that doesn't seem to still be on this post? Well, I did a little digging and I found some information. I'm glad that I caught this before the comments disappeared. And I'll just say alleged, even though it's not really alleged because it's all out here on the interwebs. So let's go to this next story. Tavern on Lagrange's former employees file lawsuit. Oh, wait, that's the same one. Here we go. So the gentleman that you see in the picture, the chef, here we go. Oh, boy, this is from 2022. Sentencing delayed for Orland man on criminal assault charge. Bond was revoked and sentencing delayed for real estate mogul. Why are there so many people in all of these real estate scams? He's a mogul, but obviously he's got some dirty dealings. Gregory Perkins, there it is. At the time, 48 years old, who was picked up for DUI, driving under the influence. Prosecutor said. Now, you can read this yourself, but here's our man right there. Pled guilty to criminal blank assault. Was postponed Wednesday when prosecutors said he picked up a DUI charge. Cook County Judge John T. Gallagher revoked bond for 48-year-old Gregory Perkins, who is now being held in Cook County Jail. In jail. Woo, man, how about that? So the Orland Park man pleaded guilty to a felony charge of the criminal blank assault last month. Perkins and the victim had gone out with a group of friends for an evening dinner and drinks back in 2017. When the victim became incapacitated after a few drinks, prosecutors said Perkins drove her back to his home in the 13700 block of Legend Trail Lane in Orland Park. The victim said she woke up later that night to Perkins doing bad things to her. Perkins has remained free on a $10,000 bond and has been on electronic monitoring for the past 5 years. This is 2022. He's being represented by Sam Adams, is that the beer guy? Jr., who in 2017 described Perkins as a pillar of the community involved in lucrative business deals. Why are all these people all pillars of the community involved in all these lucrative business deals, but they have these backgrounds? That's very sketchy. So let's just reel this all the way back to St. Patrick's. Here we go. And what I said at the beginning, when you lay down with the dogs, you get fleas. So this is not really looking too good to me. A lot of taxes not paid. Some dubious real estate transactions went down. We had an alignment with one of the most corrupt politicians in the history of Chicago. And then that corrupt politician stabbed them straight in the back and tried to hold them under ransom, not giving the liquor license. And I have heard rumors that the plan was that the corrupt politician and the seven-figure man were going to take this place after it was nice and constructed and turn it into a burger place, something different. And then we also had the issues going on, and we'll get into this in the next video because there's some other information that I'd like to cover, where there were some dubious things happening with the licensing and the inspections. Yeah, the safety inspection, where the engineering company gave a report. I guess they did not have their structural inspection pass, and something was done to where the individual in charge was able to slide that on through, where we come to find out that maybe they weren't structurally sound. There was some issues where there were citizens that were concerned about the safety of the building because the construction did not follow the proper guidelines, and they did not get the passing score on the structural aspect of the building, and got that taken care of by the former mayor. And then we remember that board meeting where it came up where there was a bill for $7,000 for that structural inspection, that somehow they were able to stick that on the village residents where the owners did not pay for that, but $7,000 was stuck on that warrant list and read right there in the Dolton board meeting where our new mayor, Jason House, said, hey, we didn't approve this. We did not approve this. And the trustees took issue with it and said, why are we paying this $7,000 bill for this inspection for a building that the village doesn't even own? Wow. So we're going to get into that later. But all of that boils down to the fact that we've got a lot of questions here, a lot of dirty dealings, a lot of shady behind the scenes approvals, cutting corners, dubious real estate transactions, taxes hanging out there. And now we have this chef with a background that does not shed a positive light on this establishment. And so for those who were standing up for the owners, saying they're pillars of the community and all of that good stuff, well, how do you explain this? How do you explain this individual being the one that is going to run the kitchen, the chef? I'm sure as time goes on, there's going to be more stories that are going to pop up and expose some of the things that happened, how this business came about, and maybe we'll find out how they were able to raise all that money, okay? And is it going to survive? Will it survive with a $4.2 million amount in money that was borrowed? Is it going to survive? Are they going to turn a profit? Hopefully so. I don't know. And then, of course, we had some other concerns that came from residents, from one of the newly elected trustees of the Thornton Township, who brought up the fact that she lives 500 yards away, 500 feet, 500 yards, something like that, of a place of this size that is in close proximity to a residential area. We'll talk about that more too. But it looks like things are going to get even more interesting as time goes on. So what do you know about the situation? What's the latest here? What's the deal with this guy? How do the residents feel about going to this establishment when you have a person that has this background, okay? Or does that have nothing to do with the success of the business? Is that okay? Is it all right? Or do you think that it has no bearing on the reputation of this business, that they put this man in charge who has some legal actions being taken against him for not paying former workers? Is this the type of people that you want to associate with? Is this the person that you want to build your lovely new establishment around? Okay, because the chef is the one that's going to make the place successful. You got to have a chef to make the delicious food and present it in top fashion to make people want to come in and spend money. So let me know your thoughts. Are we out of line for bringing all of this up? Should we not be saying these things or digging up all of this dirt against these pillars of the community? Or residents, are you excited about this business being there? And do you think that this is a big step up in the community? Are we ever going to find out why Stupor Mayor Tiffany Henyard stabbed them in the back and tried to hold them ransom and not allow that business to open up? Did they have a plan? Let me know in the comments. Some people had posted comments, like I said, about the plan of turning this into a burger joint, let it be built, and then hold them out to dry, force them out of business, and then maybe snatch up the building on a tax sale, where you don't pay your property taxes, get it on the auction block, foreclosure sale, and then turn around and rake in the money and open up a business on the cheap. So that's all that we have for this story. And like I said, I got another one coming your way where we're going to talk about an incredible amount of money. I didn't realize it, but I think that the super mayor has built the federal government out of $30+ million in federal grants. And I'll tell you why you should be stepping into action and notifying the authorities and complaining about it, even if you're not a Dolton or Thornton Township resident, because federal funds come from all of us, all of our tax taxpayer dollars. Even me, even though I'm in Missouri, I have been out of Chicago since 1973, but should we sit around and say nothing when there is a person in another state that can just bilk the federal government for grant money, and get away with it scot-free? Let me know in the comments. And if you're excited about that information, stay tuned. I'll have that coming your way very soon. That's all I got for this one. This is Carlton, and I am out.